Riva here. I hope you're doing well and I hope you're ready to move. Today's class is going to be a little bit different. We are going to be doing some foam rolling today. Now, I've never taught this class here at UC Davis before, but I have to admit this is one of my favorite classes to teach, so I'm very happy to have you here. Before we get started, I just want to talk a little bit about the foam rollers that we'll be using today or the ones that you might be using from home. So this one here is a shorter roller. I believe it's 18 inches. This one's from Gaiam. It's pretty inexpensive. I think it was like maybe $30 or a little bit underneath. This one also has a little bit of a softer density, and it's really just preference. I prefer a nice firm roller because I like a lot of pressure, but you might like something that's a little bit lighter and a little bit softer, and it'll be a little bit less intense. Okay, Tom. So this is, again, a smaller, little bit softer one that you could use. Now, my preference and my favorite is the large foam roller. And this one I'd say is 36 inches. And so this one is nice because you can actually cover a little bit more muscle with the larger roller, and it's just a little bit nicer to lie down on, and I'll show you what that means once we get there. This one was off of Amazon. I think it's just one of the Amazon brands, and this one was really inexpensive. I think this one was like $18 to $20, and this one, as I mentioned, is a little bit firmer too, so if you take it and squeeze it, you can feel the different densities in the foam roller. Now, if you're buying online, you're not going to have the opportunity to feel it, but if you look for something that's a little bit higher density or a little bit lower density, you'll be able to find different variations. There's also ones with little nodes on them. There's it's a whole thing. So I'll keep it short today, but I just wanted to kind of give you an introduction. That way, if you do decide to invest in a foam roller, you kind of have an idea of what you're shopping for. And again, honestly, it's just preference. So you'll just kind of have to pick one and try it and see how you like it. I actually have 3 foam rollers that I kind of swap back and forth between, just depending on what I'm looking to do and how I'm feeling that day. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So I'll show you why the longer ones are my preferred ones. We're gonna start lying down on the foam roller. So you'll take the foam roller lengthwise down your mat, and I will show you how you can do this with the shorter roller too. So just to get you started, if you have a longer roller, you're just gonna come to sit down on the end of the roller, and then you're slowly gonna lower down to lie on top of the roller. And you'll want your head and your neck supported. So if your head's kind of hanging off a little bit, you can just press into the floor, scoot your hips down a little bit, and lie back down. Now, if you have the longer roller and you're feeling pretty good, go ahead and just stay here for a few moments while I demo this movement on the shorter roller. So the shorter roller, as you can see, is just a smaller portion of this larger roller. So you can do the same thing here, but you gotta work a little bit more. So again, the key is to have your head and your neck supported. So as you see here, this is not very comfortable, not very supported. So I'm gonna scoot down a little bit so that I can rest my head on the foam roller. And I'll probably even scoot down a little bit more. So if you're on the half roller, the biggest difference is, again, you're gonna have to work a little bit harder. So ankles are just stacked underneath the heels. Tailbone is tucked, so we're not just dropping down here. Hips are nice and lifted. And you will have to find a little bit of engagement through your core. If you're looking for some more stability, core strengthening, this is going to be a good option for you. So I'll just stay here just for time's sake. Once you're down here, we're just going to start with a couple arm variations. So on a nice big inhale, we're going to take the arms up above the head. And then on an exhale, you're going to bring them down to the hips. And again, inhale, arms up. And exhale, arms down. Now, right away, you should be starting to feel some pressure on top of the shoulders and in between the shoulders. And it really is just going to depend on how tight you are. But my guess is that you're probably pretty tight in this area. Most of us are. We carry a lot of our tension and our stress here. And then also just working in a sedentary position most of the day can also contribute to tension in this area. So again, we're just making snow angels here, arms up, and arms down. Let's do a few more cycles. And we'll go one more here. Good, when you're ready, you can take your arms down by your hips, and now we'll go full arm circle. So arms are gonna come up above the chest, they're gonna drop back behind the head, you're gonna swoop them down to the sides, back to your hips, and around again. So just drawing big circles with the arms here. Still staying mindful of the breath. The more you breathe, the more you will relax, and that's not just physically, but mentally. It's another reason I really love foam rolling, because it can be a very restorative and soothing movement practice. So anytime you feel like you've had a stressful day, or you just want to take a break, or you want to move, but you just want to do something light, this is a really good option. And then as you're moving here, you're starting to just become aware of the sensations that are coming up for you as we move the arms up and bring them down. The next time your hands reach your hips, let's switch directions. So arms going up above the head first, then forward above the chest, and then down by the hips. We're moving slow and mindfully here, so a lot of times you'll see people moving really quickly on the foam roller, and you actually want to be moving a little bit more slowly here. Good, and again, as you're moving, just starting to become aware of the sensations that you're feeling. So for me, I know when my arms come up above my chest, the sensation starts to increase, meaning there's a tight spot back there that I'm landing on when I bring my arms up above my chest. So just noticing those spots. We all have them. Good, and then the next time your hands come up above your head, let's go ahead and just drop them back down into a T, palms facing up. Bend at the elbows, keep making two 90-degree angles with your arms. And then on an exhale, we're going to close, bringing the elbows together or as close as you can, and inhale to open. I laugh because this is, I get a lot of pressure here. So again, you might start to notice, oh wow, I feel a lot more sensation when I'm doing this variation versus the other. So just kind of taking note of which one allows you to feel the most sensation, which one allows you to get into those pockets of tension in the shoulders here. Now you might see me get stuck sometimes. I get a little wrapped up in this myself. And I do want us to do just a little bit of trigger point work. So if you're unfamiliar with trigger point work, I always like to compare it to a massage. So foam rolling is also known as the poor man's massage. So whenever we do our trigger point, we're just going to take our pressure to a spot that seems to be a little bit tighter than the rest. You're gonna hold that pressure and breathe. And after about 30 seconds, you'll hopefully start to feel the sensation decrease, or maybe you'll feel the tension release. So let's go ahead and try that. So just moving the arms here, deciding where you'd like to go in a little deeper, or maybe where you wouldn't. And then when you're there, you can just hold and breathe. Maybe even closing the eyes here. Just noticing that sensation. I'm not trying to force anything, we're just letting the magic happen here. And after about 30 seconds, again, you should feel the pressure start to subside or the pressure release. After you've felt that, you can bring some movement back into the arms. So you can do arm circles here, you can do elbows to touch, whatever feels best. And we will do one more spot here, just so you can kind of get in the practice of working with these trigger point spots. All right, so go ahead and make your way to another location. You could do the same exact spot, or you could do a new one. And if you find that the pressure is a little bit too strong, you can always, always, always sit right next to it. You don't necessarily have to go right on top. So we're just holding and breathing here, maybe closing the eyes, becoming aware of the sensations. Nice deep breaths. Holding here until you feel the pressure subside or the pressure release. Just a couple more breaths. And then when you're ready, we're going to bring in some movement. So now you can do arm circles, you can do snow angels, whatever feels best for you here. This is one area I could stay forever, but we'll cover some other parts. But just know this is a really good place to go, especially at the end of the workday. If you're feeling really stressed, really tight, this is a really good place to come. All right, so we're gonna work our way off now. You're just gonna roll off to the side and off of your roller. Good, and then we'll push ourselves up to seated or kneeling, and we're actually gonna flip the roller around. So I'll switch to the longer roller now just so you can see. So just know that if you use a shorter one, you just might have to make some adjustments, but most of the things are gonna be doable with both. All right, so now we're gonna flip the roller around so that it's horizontal, and you're gonna come to lie down on your side. Now this is another really tight area for people. We're gonna be working in the lats, and the lats start all the way up here and work our way all the way down to the back. So this is one of the biggest muscles in your body, and it gets really tight and really contracted from us rounded forward on our phones and all over our computers all day. So we're gonna try to open up the lats here. So whenever you're ready, just kind of lie down on your side, and we'll start in the armpit today, and we'll gradually work our way down. So once you're here, just adjusting the roller so that it's in your armpit. Yes, in your armpit. And right away you might start to feel some sensation. So let's just kind of ease our way into this. We're just gonna start with some gentle rocking front to back. I'm laughing because it hurts or it's uncomfortable. And again, just coming back to that breath, especially as we start to get into these really uncomfortable areas, we tend to create tension through other spots in the body, either through our face or sometimes through our hands or through our feet. So just using the breath here to calm the mind, calm the body, and this is what's gonna allow us to get a little bit more out of our foam rolling today. So again, we're just gently rocking back and forth. And then as you feel comfortable, you can start to increase that range. So all the way forward and all the way back, almost so that you come into a bit of a supine twist. Now, if you're on the shorter roller, you might be a little bit limited in how far back you can go, but the bigger roller is nice because you can really roll all the way back. Good, coming back to that breath, opening up here. You might start to get some pops and some snaps and some crackles here. Good, we will do one trigger point spot here. So on these next few runs, just deciding where you'd like to go in a little deeper. And you can make your way there. And when you do, just holding and breathing here. Also might feel nice to support the head a little bit. Other option would be to extend the arm long and just let the head stay in line with your spine. So just trying to keep tension out of the neck. Good, holding and breathing here. Again, maybe closing the eyes, becoming aware of the sensations. Just holding here until you feel the pressure subside or release. And just a couple more breaths. Good. When you're ready, we're just going to invite in some movement. So just rocking forwards and back a few times. Oh boy. And then the next time you come forward, let's go ahead and scoot that foam roller down. Just about a ½ inch, I would say. So just scooting it down just a little bit. So we're just right underneath the armpit. And we'll do the same thing. So just gently rocking front to back. Good, remember to breathe. Careful not to create tension through other areas in the body. Oops, see, there we go. There's a crack. I tend to get a little crunchy in this area. If you you know what I mean, then you know what I mean. And we will do one trigger point here as well. So again, on these next few runs, just deciding where you'd like to go in a little deeper. And then eventually you can make your way there. And we will just hold and breathe here. So again, trying to take strain out of the neck, maybe supporting the head here. Finding the breath, maybe closing the eyes. Just really letting yourself be heavy here, letting your upper body melt into the foam roller. Using your breath as a tool. Sending messages to your mind and your body to relax. Just holding here for another breath or two. And then when you're ready, we'll gently rock front to back a few more times here. We will scooch down one more time on this side. The next time you come forward, go ahead and grab your roller and you'll scoot it down another 1/2 inch or so. Now be mindful, you have a couple of floating ribs. The further down we start to get, we definitely don't want you foam rolling your ribs, so just adjust as needed if you find that you've landed on one. It might be a little uncomfortable, but it shouldn't be painful. So if it's painful, just scoot back up, and then, when you're ready, we'll rock front to back a few times here. Yeah, and you might start to notice some shifting and some sensations throughout the body. It's totally normal. Foam rolling is also really good for circulation throughout the muscles and throughout the body. So we're just moving some stuff around here. On these next few runs, deciding where you'd like to go in a little deeper. And then when you're ready, you can make your way there. Option to support the head here, just trying to keep straight on the neck, relaxing the other areas of your body. Maybe closing the eyes, just letting yourself be heavy here. Coming back to your breath, inhaling and exhaling. Just holding here for a few more breaths. And then when you're ready, you can gently rock front to back. I told you I get lost in the foam rolling here, which is probably why it's one of my favorite things to teach. Oh boy. All right, so just rocking back and forth a few more times here. And then we're gonna do the same thing on the other side. So when you feel ready, or as ready as you're gonna be, you're gonna push yourself up to seated. And before we switch, I always like to do just a fun little experiment because it's really eye-opening about how helpful foam rolling can be. This is a really good thing to do before your workouts too. It's really good for mobility. So we'll just start by slowly raising the arm that you haven't worked through yet. Good, and then we'll raise the arm on the side that we have worked through. Yeah, it's a huge difference, right? We'll just do it a couple more times just so you can really feel how much more range of motion you have in this other side. Yeah, it's like 2 different sides. Nice, go ahead and do one more. Again, just really feeling it out. Awesome, and then when you're ready, you can switch sides. So again, I always just like to do that because you're like, oh wow, this really does make a big difference. We're just gonna switch around and do the same thing on the other side. So now switching sides. Again, we're gonna start in the armpit and we're gonna gradually work our way down. So starting in the armpit, and right away you might notice a difference between the two sides. I think my other side was a little bit tighter. And then when you're ready, you're just gonna gently rock front to back. And I forgot to mention on that bottom side, you can, on your bottom arm, you can keep it bent or you can extend it away. It's just really whatever feels better for you. Just allows you to get into slightly different areas. So you can feel out whether you like the arm bent or you like the arm straight. Good, keeping that range of motion a little bit smaller, and then as you feel ready, you can start to increase, maybe going all the way back. This side is definitely more crunchy though. A lot of crunches here. Good, and we'll go back and forth a few more times before we go into our trigger point. On these next few runs, deciding where you'd like to go in a little deeper. And you can start to make your way there. And holding and breathing. Maybe supporting the head if needed. Good, I know. Deep breaths here. Remember, the more you breathe, the more everything will relax. It's a little uncomfortable, but it's worth it. Just like any other way of working out, you know? Good, just continuing to breathe. In through the nose, out through the nose or mouth. Breathing is really gonna be the key here. As you feel ready, you can start to bring in some movement. So again, gently rocking front to back. I would say most people are really tight in this area. I don't think I've ever met anyone that wasn't. So if this is uncomfortable for you, just know that you're not alone. All the more reason we need to be here doing this. The next time you come forward, go ahead and scoot your roller down an inch, half an inch, and we'll continue. So just gently rocking front to back. I don't know if you can hear that, but as long as there's no sharp pain here, then you're quite all right. Nothing to be too alarmed about when thinking of the cracking or the popping that might be happening for you. On these next few runs, deciding where you'd like to go in a little deeper. And you can gradually start to make your way there. And we'll just hold and breathe. Supporting the head if needed. Letting the upper body be heavy here. Maybe closing the eyes and just letting the magic happen. Good, relax the muscles in your face. Try to keep the shoulders away from the ears. Just breathing into the sensations. Holding for another breath or two. And then as you feel ready, we'll add in some movement, so just gently rocking front to back. And we'll scooch down one more time on this side. So the next time you come forward, you can scoot the roller down another half an inch, being mindful of those floating ribs. And then when you're ready, just gently rocking front to back. Coming back to the breath if you've lost it, even when we're doing a little bit more dynamic stuff, just really being mindful to keep that breath going. You can start to make your way to your trigger point. And when you do, you're just gonna hold and breathe. Now trying to make yourself as comfortable as possible, supporting the head if needed. Letting yourself be heavy here. And melting into the roller. Good, staying with that breath. Good, knowing that the sensation will pass. Allowing yourself to feel it. Just a couple more breaths here. And then whenever you're ready, you can slowly invite in some movement. So just rocking back and forth a few times. And then when you're ready, you can just push yourself up to a seated position. And we'll check out that second side. So just coming to a seated position, raising the arm that we already worked, and then raising the arm on the side that we just worked. Yeah, huge difference, right? And you still might notice a little bit of a difference between the two sides, and that's pretty normal, but both sides now have so much more mobility and range than they did before, which is great. Good, when you're ready, you can just take your foam roller to the top of your mat. We're gonna come back to it. I always like to stretch things out a little bit after we foam roll, so you can just work your way to a tabletop position. And we're just gonna stretch out the shoulders, and we're gonna stretch out the back, the lats. So we'll start with a puppy pose or a melting heart, if you're familiar, if you have a yoga practice. So we'll start from this tabletop position, wrists underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. And we're gonna start by walking the hands forward. Now, the biggest difference between this and child's pose is that your hips stay above your knees as opposed to sending them back towards your heels. So just making sure that you're not sending your hips back, they're above the knees, and you're letting your chest sink down towards the floor. And if you can rest your chin or your forehead down on the mat. And think of wrapping your armpits in towards each other. You should start to get a really nice opening through the shoulders. And just like we did in our holes, just making sure you bring in the breath here. So the more you breathe, the more your muscles and your mind, your body will relax. Make sure you're not creating tension in the face or in the feet, just holding and breathing here. And then we'll do one more full breath in and a full breath out. And just starting to come out of this nice and slow. Take your time. We'll be back in tabletop. You can scooch the roller in just a little bit. Take your right hand to your foam roller, palm facing up. Left wrist underneath your left shoulder. Now we're going to send the hips back towards the heels, just like you would in a child's pose. As you do that, you're going to reach your right arm forward, and you should start to get a really nice stretch all along the right side here. I'm just finding some length in the lats now. Holding for another few breaths. You can send your hips back a little bit further if you can. Reach your arm a little bit more forward. Good, and then when you're ready, you can just slowly come up, back to tabletop, and we'll switch sides. So left hand on your foam roller, palm facing up, right wrist underneath your right shoulder. When you're ready, send your hips back as you reach your left arm forward. Good, and breathe. Keep sending your hips back toward your heels, keep reaching your left arm forward. And finding some length along the left side here. Good, and then when you're ready, you can just slowly come out of that. Awesome. From here, I do want us to do a little bit of lower body, so we'll focus today on the low back, the quads, and the glutes. So we'll start with the quads. You're going to take your roller out in front, and you're going to place it in front of your knees. From here, you're going to crawl over, so this one's a little awkward sometimes. You're going to crawl over, keeping the foam roller right above your knees. So not on top of your knee, just right above it. And if you are a runner, or if you're just super active, this is probably going to be really good for you, really intense for you. So we'll just start by working the bottom half of the quads. So just working your way, oh my gosh, from the knee up to about halfway. Yeah, this is a very tight area for me. And we're just making sure we're staying active here through the core. So you're not sinking the hips down, we're not arching through the low back. You do have to tuck the tailbone just slightly. So again, just rolling that bottom half of the thigh Good. Keep using your breath, especially as we get to these really uncomfortable areas. Try not to tense up and bring the shoulders to the ears and round. Just try to relax as much as you can. Focus on your breathing here. Maybe inhale to roll up and exhale to roll down. Good, so we're still in the bottom half of the thigh here. And now we'll start to experiment with turning the toes in towards each other. And just rolling up and down a few times with the toes turned in. Good, and then we'll turn the toes out and we'll roll up and down a few times with the toes pointed out. I'm laughing because I'm really tight right here. Good, continuing to breathe, try not to hold your breath. And now we'll experiment with a bit of a pendulum swing. So staying where you are, still in the bottom half of your thigh, you're just gonna swing both of your legs over towards the right as you allow your knees to bend. Good, and then you're just gonna swing them over towards the left, allowing your knees to bend. So just like a pendulum on a clock. Trying to keep your legs a little bit closer towards the floor so the knees are not bent, the legs are starting straight, and we're just gently swinging from left to right. Good, continuing to breathe. Awesome, and then from here we will work our way up, going into the top half of the quad. So now starting from the middle of your quad and working your way up into the psoas and into the hip flexors. So we'll just start with legs straight, toes pointed down towards the floor. Just rolling up and down. Again, moving slowly and mindfully here, so we're just not trying to roll up and down a few times. We're really trying to get that pressure all along the quadricep muscles. And that's what's going to allow us to release. Good, so just rolling up and down a few more times, all the way up into the psoas and the hip flexors, and then down about halfway. If you're feeling like you want to go down all the way toward your knee, go for it. And we've opened that area up a little bit more. Good, and then when you're ready, you can turn your toes in. See what comes up for you there. Just rolling up and down a few times, nice and slow. You might start to notice my legs do some unprescribed things, just kind of happen sometimes. And if your legs want to do that too, that's totally fine. All right, so from here, we'll just turn the toes out and we'll roll up and down a few times. Ultimately, you know your body much better than me, so for this class especially, I really try to give you suggestions, but if there's something else that you need, I encourage you to take that. Good, and then from here we'll do our pendulum swing, so just swinging from left to right. And after you've done the top of the quad a few times, you can start to work your way back down and work your way up. Awesome. Whenever you're ready, just go ahead and work your way up to the top of the quads, trying to get into the psoas and into the hip flexors. This is a tough area to get with the foam roller sometimes, but this is a way that I like to do it. So from here, we're just going to bend the legs, taking your heels towards your butt, and you should start to get a little bit more pressure in the psoas and in the hip flexors. So we're just going to hold and breathe here. Again, try to drop the shoulders away from the ears, still lengthening through the crown of the head. Bring in the breath. Good, on your next inhale, go ahead and extend the legs. And exhale to bend again, heels towards your butt, and just hold. Good, inhale, go ahead and extend your legs. And we'll do one more time. So just exhale, bending the legs, heels towards your butt, and hold. A couple breaths here. Allowing those hips to be heavy, melting into your roller, letting the magic happen here. On your next inhale, go ahead and extend your legs. Now go ahead and run up and down the entire length of the quad just a few times, allowing yourself to find what feels good. So you can turn your toes in, you can turn your toes out, you can do the pendulum swing, you can do your own little thing, whatever works for you here. Good, and then eventually you can just push yourself up and off of the foam roller. Now, as promised, I do want to work the low back a little bit and the glutes, so we're just gonna flip around and come to sit on top of the foam roller now. So however you want to do that, just stepping over and sitting on top. Careful not to let it roll away. So finding your seat on top of your foam roller. And then once you're here, just make sure you're sitting up nice and tall. You might need to adjust a little bit, straighten things out. Awesome, from here, let's cross the right ankle over the left knee, so coming into a figure 4 pose. And this might be plenty for you. You should be starting to get some sensation on your right piriformis or on your right glute. Now, if this is good, you're just gonna stay here and you'll just gently rock front to back. If you want more, you're going to shift your weight and use your body weight to get a little bit more pressure on that side. Try to keep your chest open and your neck long so we're not rounded and collapsing here. We're trying to keep some length through the upper body, especially since we just opened everything up. And we're just gently working the piriformis, the glute maximus. Also might feel nice to get into the glute medius, so rolling up and out a little bit here. And I would imagine this is probably going to be a really tight area for most of you as well. Coming back to that breath if you can. Good, and then for time today, we won't do any trigger point here, but when you're doing this on your own, you're absolutely welcome to pause the video and work into a spot you feel like needs a little bit more attention. But for today and for time, we're just gonna go ahead and switch, but if you wanna stay here, you could pause the video and work a little bit more onto that side before you switch. Whenever you're ready, we'll cross the left ankle over the left knee. And again, an option to stay here. This might be plenty for you. If you want more, you're just gonna shift your weight. Hand can come to the foam roller or to the floor if that feels okay. Still keeping that chest nice and open, low back, neck extended long. And we're just working that piriformis, glute maximus, maybe going all the way up and over to the glute medius. And then again, if you wanted to do some trigger point work here, you could pause the video and spend a little bit more time. But again, just for time's sake today, we'll move on to the low back and we'll do a few stretches before we close out for today. So from here, it's kind of a fun transition. You're just gonna roll off of your roller and come to sit behind, or any way you wanna get there. And then you'll probably need to adjust a little bit. So from here, feet on the floor, you're just gonna lower all the way down onto your back. Press into your feet, lift your hips, grab your roller, slide it on your knee, and you're gonna place it on your sacrum. So not your tailbone, not your low back, this sort of hard, sweet spot in between. And once you're here, you're just gonna drop in, let those hips be heavy. A good way to check you're in the right spot is your belly button should be just a little bit higher than your hips. Good, and then when you're ready, you're gonna slowly bring your left leg to a tabletop, slowly bring your right leg to tabletop, and we'll keep the knees together and just start to draw some circles here. Oh yeah, so this is a really, really nice low back massage. This is another really good posture for the end of the work day, after you've been seated all day, or maybe you just did a really tough run or some really high impact movements or core workout. This is a really good way to finish off. When you're ready, go ahead and switch directions. Again, if you need more time here, you're more than welcome to stay. Just want to do one more stretch with you before we end our video for today. Whenever you're ready, you can lower the legs down. You're just going to press into the feet, lift your hips, slide that roller away. And from here, you can let it just roll to the bottom of your mat. Feet flat on the floor, pull across the right ankle over the left knee. Hands are going to come through the legs, fingers interlaced behind your thighs. We're coming into a figure 4 stretch. So just holding and breathing here. And then when you're ready, you can release your hands. Keep your legs the same. We're just going to drop them off to the left. Gaze is going to open up to the right. A couple deep breaths here. Releasing the low back. When you're ready, you can unwind, uncross, switching sides, left ankle over right knee. Hands come through, fingers interlaced. Holding here. A couple deep breaths. When you're ready, you can release your hands. Keep your legs the same. We're going to take them off to the right. Gaze opens up to the left. And breathe here. When you're ready, you can unwind, uncross. From here, you can either rock yourself up to a seated position, or you can just flip around and meet me in a tabletop position. So eventually making your way to tabletop, wrists underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. On an exhale, tuck the tailbone around through your spine, chin to chest. Inhale to untuck, let the belly hang, and open up. Just 2 more cycles here. Exhale, and inhale. Last one, exhale, and inhale. Come back to your neutral spine. Just work your way to either a seated or the kneeling position. We're just going to close out with a couple of cleansing breaths. All right, so when you're ready, nice big inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, open the mouth, let it go. And again, inhale. Exhale. And last one, biggest breath of the day, filling up. And then exhale to let it go, leaving it all on your mat. Great work this morning, evening, or afternoon, whenever you're getting to this recording. I hope that you enjoyed our foam rolling and stretching session. I look forward to doing more of these videos. If you have any questions about foam rollers or you need suggestions, feel free to reach out to us. Otherwise, we look forward to seeing you again soon. Take care. Bye now.